All right, everybody, welcome back to another awesome episode of the My Colony podcast. This is Brandon, the developer of the game, and joining me today, I got several people here. I got K9 Mancer again.
Hi.
I got Quirt is joining.
Hi.
Thremian's here again.
Hello.
And Viren is here with us.
What's up?
And this is kind of a continuation of the last episode. We're going to be talking about the forest map that was added to the game, which is quite a bit more difficult than the other ones. So we're going to go over what the new buildings are and then have a discussion about tips on how to start a forest colony successfully. And then after that, I'm almost done with the next update, which will be coming out in the next day or two, and we're going to just quickly touch on what's new in that one. But first, the forest map. Just off the bat, what do you guys think of this one?
A lot of management up front.
Definitely.
A lot of power control.
Yeah, it's we'll get into that, but it's definitely I know for me when I was first playing through it with testing, it's like I had to constantly be building new trees, harvesting and building, harvesting. Because even though the map starts out in a forest, that goes away pretty quickly.
It's more like a gently wooded area.
Exactly. That's a good way to describe it. So the new buildings that pertain to the forest area, first, when you start a forest map, instead of the regular rover, you'll get the forest rover. That gives you the ability to make, let's see, there's the wood hut, which is like the primitive forest version of the house. There's a water well, is where you get water. There's a potato patch for growing food. The first kind of different building is a charcoal hut. And what that does is it takes trees and burns them down into charcoal, which gives you the new charcoal resource. Now, that's not totally explained in the game. Did any of you guys have any confusion with that at first?
Not really, because I spent a lot of time on the forum, so I was already introduced to it well before then.
Same.
Yeah, I think if somebody's played the game before, and especially is active on the forum, some of this stuff, it really wouldn't be too difficult. But if you're new to My Colony, I said this before, I think it's a good idea not to start with the forest world.
That's to start with the red planet, because even doing the lunar map, you might still end up being lost.
I agree. If it's first time playing, if you play the forest map, you didn't get anywhere, before you go and leave your 1-star review, try the red planet. That's what I'd say. Alright, after the charcoal hut, you get the charcoal compactor, and that one turns charcoal into ore, which is kind of the base resource of the whole game. So from there, that kind of unlocks all the normal stuff you'd have in any of the other maps. For power, instead of the solar panel right off the bat, you get the charcoal burner, which also requires a steady flow of charcoal. One of the differences of this one, you always have to have your supply chain going at the beginning. You need a constant flow of trees, a constant flow of charcoal. Otherwise, you can wreck your entire colony. Eventually, you get the charcoal factory, which is an advanced version of the charcoal hut. The road for the forest map is the mulched wood path, which is pretty much the same thing as pavement. It just looks different. The other new thing that's on the forest map is oil. This is something you don't find on any of the other maps as a starting resource. On the forest world, there are oil patches, and you can harvest that, which leads to refining, which lets you make plastic, which eventually lets you make toys, which don't have a use in the game yet, but they will soon, so it's worth your time to start making and building up toys. I should note that all this stuff from the forest map is also available on the regular red planet and probably the lunar planet as soon as you get your atmosphere built up. And for those worlds that don't have oil, there's the synthetic oil lab, which lets you make it by taking, what was it? I think it's food and something. Charcoal. Food and charcoal. And I think that's all the buildings that pertain to the forest map. And something I kind of noticed, that was kind of funny. Out of all the worlds, because of just the artwork on the buildings, the forest world starts out as this big nature environment, and it doesn't take long before it turns into this like industrial wasteland where all the trees are gone. You're burning charcoal. There's oil everywhere. The power plants are all oil.
It looks cool.
It does look cool. I do like how even though it's similar to the red planet in the later stages, the buildings give it enough uniqueness that no matter which map you pick, it's a different experience. What do you guys think looks better, the lunar map or the forest map?
Forest.
Yeah, the lunar map's a bit flat-ish.
Yeah, see, I don't know. I kind of like the lunar myself.
There's not much features, I guess.
Yeah. I think before too long I'm going to be adding an ice map. Alright, so that's kind of an introduction of the forest map. You know, I was thinking of strategies, but the more I think about it, there really wasn't much to touch on. If you play through the red planet and then you go on to a lunar map, I think that you'll do okay with the forest. It is harder, but it's not insurmountable.
Yeah, I mean, it adds another resource in before you can really start to get moving forward on it.
Yeah. Next, I kind of want to go over, as I said earlier, the next update is going to be coming soon. It is a 0.23.0 update. And compared to the last one, it's kind of small. I'm not planning on adding any new buildings or anything, but there are new features related to policies that you'll find at the Capitol and related to your colonists. So I just kind of want to go over those. You guys in here, you probably play on the web version, so you've probably seen this stuff already. The new policies are things, maybe you know or not. If you have a capital or a consulate, you click on it, there's a policy button, and there's different things you can do. And I've added 4 new ones so far, and there might be more before the update ships. And the first one's a fire drill. And what this does is it fires everybody from their jobs. Yeah, it's kind of like a fresh slate for your colony. It fires everybody, and it kicks everybody out of their house. The purpose of this one is, sometimes as your colony grows, you'll look at people's commute times. They'll live on one end of the colony, their jobs on the complete opposite side of the colony. And so it takes them like 100 length, whatever the measurement is, 100 tiles to commute to their job. And that raises their unhappiness. So what this does is, when you do the fire drill, the first thing everybody does afterwards is finds a job. After they have a job, they try to find the house closest to their new job. And so hopefully, after it goes through all this, their commute times will be shorter. And another thing it does, people who have been playing for a while, their statistics start getting messed up. Like, you guys have probably seen weird things where your unemployment will be some impossible number.
105%.
105%.
And job reports are like 105% filled.
Yeah, so this should reset all that and fix it. And I hope it's a permanent fix, but it might be a temporary one. I don't know. I still don't know what's causing those problems, truthfully.
I'm just gonna miss the mass genocides.
Yeah. Well, there is going to be coming a way to do mass genocides, which I'll talk about in a minute. And that actually is part of the next policy. It's the work policy. I haven't totally implemented this yet, but what it does is you can set an output level for all of your workers, and it ranges from light workload to extreme. When you have a light workload, working day is shortened by about half, and so the colonists have more time for leisure and entertainment and health, but your production won't be as high. On the other end of the spectrum, there's the extreme workload, where you're almost forcing your colonists to work all day, and with just a couple hours of sleep. Yeah, it's basically a slavery thing. And so if you're really low on some kind of resource, you can force everybody, to the mines, so to say. And so if there's an emergency in your colony, you can use it to really build up quick. But without getting any sleep, without having time for entertainment or health, people are going to start dying. So it's up to you how much you care about your colonists, whether or not you want to use that. I suspect Randium will have it turned on full time.
And Excalibur.
Slavery sounds bad.
I've noticed that happiness is a lot harder to maintain now. Do you have any suggestions?
I did make it harder to maintain, and I might have to balance that more. The thing is, I just noticed
Yeah,
before... Go ahead.
When the colony gets too big, the entertainment's like really not enough.
Yeah. I had always had this problem where my happiness was 100% always. It's like, man, this is too easy. So I made some changes with the last update to where it's harder to keep them happy, but I might have went too far in the other direction. I have to take a look at that.
I still have the issue.
You still have the issue. Well,
Yes.
so I need to balance that more, and I will work on that. One thing I added is another policy change, which can help temporarily with happiness, and that's a stimulus package. And what that lets you do is it lets you designate a certain amount of money to just kind of rain down on your colony. And
So now you're just making them strippers.
exactly. I don't know if you looked at the little icon I drew for it. It's got like all the workers on the ground with their hands in the air and the politician at the top throwing coins down at them. So, and it's actually pretty effective. For every $3 you give them, their happiness goes up 1%.
Yeah, but this affect is it different from the living wages?
It is, because what the living wage does is every time your payroll comes up, on top of everybody's payroll, it also gives them the living wage money. And that happens every single time. Whereas this stimulus package is just a one-time thing. You can throw out however much money you want there, within your budget. Kind of related to that is the final new policy I've added so far, which is the tax collection. And it's the opposite of the stimulus. You take money from everybody. So it's a 25% tax on all of your colonist savings. And I tested it out on my colony earlier, and my approval rating immediately went from 99 to like 23.
Ooh.
So people don't like it, but
It's like tax season.
it is just like tax season. And it's a one-time thing, but you can do it however many times you want if that's what you're into. And the thinking behind it is, if you're in a position where you really need a resource, but they're charging crazy prices on the Board of Trade and you just don't have the money, you can do this one-time tax grab from your people to maybe get you the money you need. Another new thing in this update is now when you click on the colonist and their statistics comes up, you can directly give money to just that one specific guy or charge a fine to that one specific guy. So if you got a colonist you don't like, you can really just pick on him.
I'm gonna look for Bueller.
Also along those lines is retirement I've added. I don't know if you noticed this. Now, if your colonist has just a ton of money, they're going to decide, hey, I'm rich, I never need to work again. And they stop working, they leave the workforce, they don't count towards your unemployment, and they're retired.
But do they count with the housing?
They do count with the housing, so it's something to think about. They take up a house, but they don't work. But you don't need to pay them.
Can you
Yeah, but what happens if they run out of money?
If they run out of money, they'll go back to work.
Alright.
Yeah.
So they won't die.
They won't die. No. But there is something where they can die, is another new thing I added, which is aging.
Aging.
Each colonist now has an age. It works like this. When there's a new colonist, they have a random age between 18 and 30 years old. And every payday that comes out represents 1 month of life. Every time you pay, everybody's age goes up by 1 month. Now,
Yeah, by the way, I'm curious. How often is the payday?
about every 20 minutes, I think.
Actually, alright.
Yeah. It depends on how fast your device is running, too. But on the computer, it's about 20 minutes.
Oh.
There is a bug with this last update where payday's not working. And
Alright.
that's the main reason this next update's a smaller one, because I really want to get that fixed out there. Because that's kind of a big deal. I don't know about you guys, but I haven't gotten any tax collections or payment requests from any of my colonies over the last few days.
Yeah, I've been wondering about that.
Yep. But I've been having it in my new colony though.
Yeah, on the web it should work.
Does the Windows 10 store count as a web?
No, it's working for you on Windows.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I don't know why, but it's good. But soon it'll be working
What
for
age
everybody
are they
again.
gonna be when they die?
Okay, so how it works, there's no set death age. The older the colonist gets, the higher the percentage chance that their health will go down, just naturally. So it'll be random and different for everybody. Some people, it'll be like life, Some people will die when they're 60, and there'll probably be a weird case where there's like a 300-year-old colonist. And so there might be ways to combat it by having more hospitals. I know I'm predicting this is going to cause the sickness and the hospital usage to go up.
Yeah, maybe the age should like permanently decrease the health rather than just like one shot decrease.
Yeah, like each update of the colonist will be another
So they-
decrease in the health.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So they
otherwise
definitely
it
won't
would
live to
just-
300.
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't want it to be weird with like really old people everywhere.
Sounds like we need a old person's home.
We might. That could be another thing. I could put.
Or maybe like a retirement home.
Well, I was thinking about having different classes of buildings, like for the housing, only allow people with this much money. So if you wanted to set up a section of your colony with high-end businesses and high-end housing, you could do that. Or you could have like the homeless shelter somewhere for people with no money. It's just a thought for the future. One other thing I've added so far in this one is 2 new job classes. There's now the scientist and the white-collar worker. And they have their own new graphics, and you can set their wages in the policy menu. I'm going to add several more of those because I think it just makes it look better having a few more different types of guys walking around.
Great idea.
All right.
All right.
Makes a lot more sense.
It does. Oh, another thing.
Rather having the scientist as an unskilled worker. All right. Yeah.
Just a few more quick fixes in this one so far. On touch screen devices like Android and iPhone, I've made the buttons bigger. I know people have been complaining like they want to dismiss the build menu and they accidentally execute a colonist instead or something like that.
Honestly, I can tell you I have never once had that problem on my phone.
I personally haven't either, but there's a lot of bad reviews about it, so the buttons are going to be bigger.
Maybe they just have big fingers.
They might.
Or just small phones. Yeah, I have the problem too, actually.
So I
Half the
hope.
time I want to press. Oh, sorry.
I'm going to say if you have the problem, I hope this update helps.
All right. We'll see.
We will see. And I've also reduced the sensitivity on the pinch zooming in and out. I don't know if that's been a problem for anybody, but sometimes you'll just try to zoom in a little bit and it's like, it goes crazy.
Bam, you can see in people's rooms. That's how it is for me.
Exactly. So I cleaned that up a little bit. I reduced the frequency of the auto saving. I've had instances where I'm building a lot and it just seems like it comes up every 30 seconds.
Maybe you could set you could let us set a timing, like I want to wait 30 seconds or wait a few minutes or that something.
That's good. I could put that in the engine settings.
Yeah.
I also thought of making an option. I don't know if you guys realize that when you have a big colony, it only displays like 250 colonists max. I thought about putting an option for people who play on like big desktop computers to just render every colonist, even if you have like 10,000 of them. And you can turn it off if
Jesus,
it's...
I can just think about the lag.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be something you could turn on and off, but I think it'd be cool to look at to just see how many people are actually walking around and where they're going. Let's see.
They'll just look like cows being like ushered into different places.
They will. They remind me of ants. Like, I used to play this game called Sim Ant. Sometimes when I zoom out, my colony reminds me of that.
That was a great game.
It was. Oh, also on Android, I added, before if you're playing a colony and you press the back button, it just quit straight to the home screen. Now if you press back, it'll save and go back to the title screen.
Oh my God, thank you so much. My kid loves to hit the back button on my phone all the time.
So good, that should be an improvement.
Oh.
That update should be coming tomorrow or the next day, depending on how long it takes me. And then the next update after that is actually going to be based on a lot of the suggestions that Thrumian here has sent me, and it's going to be about tourism. I was wondering if you kind of want to give an overview of that.
I would love to. So with the tourism, it's kind of set up to be a kind of earlier game income for colonies, because I know a lot of people had problems with trying to keep up with their taxes and paying their people. So it's not like, oh, you just started your colony so you can do it. It only starts after the colonial finance theory. So once you get that, you really only get 2 buildings, because at that point you should have a couple other structures that can have the...
Oh no, he's cutting out.
Uh-oh.
Just when we were getting to the good part about tourism.
Yeah.
Well,
housing thing.
Oh,
you're back.
I think he didn't stop. He didn't notice, I think.
Thruman, can you hear us?
Yeah, did I cut out?
You cut out right when you were talking about you unlock colonial finance theory, you get your 2 buildings. You cut out.
No. Well, basically all it is with the colonial finance theory, it just opens up a spaceport and a motel so that the tourists need a separate place to stay than where your colonists are going to be at. So it's kind of managing 2 different housing aspects to it.
Yeah, and so this is going to be expanded over time, but the beginnings of this tourism is going to hit probably next week. And if you look on the forum, you can really read more about the ideas behind this. There's going to be a lot of new buildings associated with it. I was thinking a new occupation class, like a hospitality worker, just different things associated to tourism. And it's going to be a good extra way for income, and I think it's also going to look cool and be just another thing to manage.
Maybe new policies too.
New policies, like maybe you could,
Tourism related.
oh, you know what would be neat? You could have a policy where you're actively advertising to try to get tourism, which could increase the rate but cost you a little bit of money. Or you can kind of shut it down. I don't know. There's so many different things that can be done.
'Tis but a beginning.
It is. Again, like I said in the forum like a week or so ago, the game's 5% done. But with the last update, maybe it's 7% done now. But I still have a long ways to go.
It's already awesome.
It is already awesome. I appreciate that. I mean, I'm biased because I made the game, but it's my favorite game.
I can only imagine once the game's like more towards 100% done that people are going to have to really specialize their colonies in order to keep everything contained, even in a large map.
Yeah, it'd be impossible to get everything. And I think we mentioned last time, even bigger map sizes are going to be needed. Probably one that's double the size of the extra large one. But
About that, I actually had an idea. Maybe we could expand our colonies downward underground. I posted a thing on the forum about that.
Yeah, it will give more content too, I think.
yeah, and a whole different like class of underground buildings.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Yeah, I'm not opposed to that.
It might be
Yeah, his
easier-
idea is pretty fleshed out too about it.
Well, unfortunately, I hate to admit that I haven't looked at it yet, but I will now.
Uh-oh.
There's always so much on the forum, I don't always get to it. I know that sounds bad because I'm the developer and it's my forum, but there are people.
Yeah,
who
I
do
posted
get
a
to
thing about species too.
Yeah,
I
but
haven't seen that one
that's
yet.
pretty recent actually.
Oh,
So I don't think it's small.
There are going to be species coming, so I'm glad somebody's thinking of it already. 'Cause I thought
We've got pros and cons.
Well, my thought was, it'd be a whole new, almost like a whole new game, basically, because in my mind, none of the human buildings are going to be appropriate for an alien species.
Yeah, that's what I'm planning for my ocean planet too, actually.
Yeah, I was thinking about, I saw the headline for an ocean planet, and man. Well, I mean, it wouldn't be that hard if the tiles all looked like water, but mechanically it still worked the same, but just the rover looked like a boat. Like, it wouldn't be that much different.
You could use that water tile that you already have and just make it passable for that map.
I could.
And make it darker, so you can tell the difference. Oh well,
Did you read my thread about the coffee thing?
yeah, I think. Whoops.
Yeah, I did see that about the coffee.
Everybody loves coffee.
Everybody loves coffee. I love coffee. I drink it all day while I'm working on the game. So there's definitely room for coffee in there. And, that actually opens up, if you implemented that where giving them coffee, like, increases their performance for a certain amount of time. You could also go the other way and have, like, the colonists getting into drug production or something that also has an impact on their performance. Or maybe the rum has the opposite
Cocaine
effect.
smells best in the morning.
See? Once you have the capability in the game, you could take it so many different directions.
You
Well,
could
it must
take it
be
in
a-
all the directions.
You can.
Or they must be
And
able to
then-
be drunk when they leave the bar.
Anyway, that's all stuff for the future. Whenever I think of all the stuff I gotta add, it's like pretty daunting, but you just add a couple things every update and it eventually comes together.
The toy factory seems a bit overpowered. I mean, I don't know what it's going to be used for, but I filled up my storage in 2 colonies with toys from just one toy sweatshop already.
Yeah, it might make the toys too fast, because they were really gonna be for, commerce things. Like, there's gonna be a shopping mall that uses up clothes and toys and whatever, and maybe a little toy store you can build that uses up toys. I don't know what else to use them for, really. I mean, that's one of those things I don't know why I added it, but it was fun.
You could use it for happiness.
I could use it for happiness. See, I think
But I know kids here.
Like random money.
I've noticed
Everybody loves Legos.
everyone loves Legos. And to me, it seems like people don't mind having a ton of different resources. And so even there's some obscure ones that are only used in a couple of buildings. There's still room for them. Some guy out there might decide he's going to specialize in toys on his colony and corner the market on the Board of Trade. I don't know.
You could pretty much do that on a small map, no problem.
You could. I thought the oil would be more valuable. It's actually going for pretty cheap.
Yeah, because you can get it in the red planet. Maybe if
Yeah.
you specialize it for the forest planet, it will get higher.
It would. See, that was a tough decision because I didn't want it to be impossible to get, but
What if you nerfed the oil factory in the red planet instead of disabling it entirely?
Or
Yeah.
maybe the forest planet has better upgrades to the oil resource.
yeah, I could do that. Yeah, I do have to make it the main benefit of the forest planet will be the oil. Anyway, and
Maybe get rid of nuclear reactors.
Yeah. I don't think the forest
It's
planet
just
has any
annoying.
uranium at all, which is another thing that makes it hard. There's so many buildings where you'd have to import that because there's a lot of stuff that requires uranium. The helium-3 I got to come up with more uses for. That's kind of the main unique thing for the lunar map.
Mm-hmm. And so is the other ore you find there, Rego or something.
Yeah, the regolith, which is needed for the dark roads, the coveted dark
Yeah.
roads. So, and I upgraded my entire colony to dark roads this morning. It looks great, if anyone was wondering.
Little jealous.
All right, well, I think the podcast has gone on long enough. What do you guys think?
Yep, it's great.
We covered the
About 25 minutes.
yeah, we covered the forest stuff, the new policies, and the kind of an introduction to the tourism stuff that's going to be coming in the next week or so. So that's something everyone can look forward to. And once again, thank you everybody for joining me in the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
No problem.
And thanks to
No problem
everybody
at all.
who listened. Say if we can put one of these out a week or so, I think it'd be good enough. If you want to join the next podcast, I'll put the link to the Discord channel that we do this in the description for the podcast so you can get in on that. Until next time, have fun playing the game and tell all your friends about it. They'll like it. They'll like you better for telling them about it. It's a win-win for everybody. So there's my pitch. Bye.
Adios.
Bye.